The Olive Branch Petition came to be when many Americans were angry with British policies and treatments, but they thought that an agreement could somehow be reached with the king that would right the wrongs done to them, because many Americans did not want to break away from Great Britain forever. Declaring independence was the hope of some patriots, but not of most. Even when the Second Continental Congress met for the first time in May 1775, the majority was not yet ready to declare independence. There was a small group of delegates, including John Adams, who were ready to declare independence at the time. However, moderate factions was led by John Dickinson of Pennsylvania, who was probably the most conservative and loyal member of Congress at the time. The radical faction decided it was wiser at this time to let the moderates have their way, because they believed war with Britain was inevitable. They would wait until events persuaded more moderates to join their side. The Congress decided to send a last appeal to King George III, asking him to intervene in their behalf. The First Continental Congress and many of the individual colonies had sent numerous appeals to the parliaments and to the king, none of which had persuaded them to change their treatment to the Americans. Still hoping that they could avoid the Revolutionary War, they sent one last letter to the king. On June 3, 1775, the Congress passed a resolution forming a committee to draft a letter to the king. The members of this committee were Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Johnson, John Rutledge, John Ray, and William Livingston. This committee presented its letter to the Committee of the Whole, otherwise known as the Whole Congress, on June 24th, but it was not approved. Instead, on July 6th, the Congress reconsidered. Thomas Jefferson wrote the first draft, but John Dickinson especially thought the draft was too harsh and would only anger the king, so he was given permission to make alterations to Jefferson's draft. On July 8th, Dickinson's version was presented to Congress and approved. This letter has come to be known as the Olive Branch Petition because it extended an offer of forgiveness to the king. The olive branch is, of course, a symbol of peace. It has been called the Humble Petition or the Second Petition to the King. The letter affirmed the loyalty of the colonists to the king and assured him that they did not seek independence, only addressing to the grievances. The Olive Branch Petition was signed by 48 members of Congress and entrusted to Richard Penn of Pennsylvania. On August 21st, Penn and Lee presented a copy of the letter to Lord Dartmouth, who was the Secretary of State for the American colonies. Lord Dartmouth tried to present the letter to the king. On August 23rd, the king published a proclamation declaring that the colonies in America were now in a state of full-scale rebellion. The proclamation also required that all British subjects anywhere were to assist in putting down the rebellion. This made an act of treason for any British subject to defend the American cause in any way. The colonists began to see the king as openly hostile to them. The next spring, Thomas Paine published his pamphlet called Common Sense that outlined the king's abuse. All of these events set the stage for the Declaration of Independence that would be declared in July 1770.